Sure do like the woods. This is our place here. And this is the first year I was here. I cleaned this up with a sickle blade. We were going to put a picnic table here, but we just never did. And I don't think we'll ever will. As I said before, we used to be nomads. I think we're kind of done with it. But I do keep the path here so we can walk through here. And it's a short little walk. We can make several laps around it. I tell you, for an acre and a half, this place just seems endless. It's really neat, just for an acre and a half. I know you can see the chicken coop from the woods, and it just, you know, everybody's got a complaint, but it's absolutely perfect. So I thought I'd bring you down here to our little runoff creek. It only is active when after a rain. I don't know if I would ever drink out of this. I'm sure it's pretty nasty, the road waste coming out, but it's still kind of neat. So this over here is our property too. So I can take the lawnmower across here. This is a little bit of an incline. And then I would cut around here, but the rocks are so bad that it would tear up the lawnmower pretty bad. It's just, they're everywhere. But I walk through here enough that I keep it beat down pretty good, so that wraps around. And then over here, I got a path that wraps around and kind of circles it back around over here. Somebody asked me, what are these? These are May apples. And May apples are supposed to be a good indication that there's mushrooms in the area. Now, like I've said, I'm not really hunting for mushrooms anymore. I did the first couple of years I was here, but I gave up on it because we're carnivores now, so I don't really worry about it. I wonder what that is. Some sort of leaf. Almost feels like an onion skin. But I'm sure there's mushrooms around here. So, you know, for an acre and a half, this is just the greatest place in the world. I absolutely love this place. And I just, it's absolutely incredible. Now, so I guess what I need to get to talking about is the weather that we've had recently. It's been pretty serious. Now, to me, I don't think we really ran into a lot of issues. It's been raining since Thursday. This is Sunday. So we got a little bit of reprieve. It was raining this morning. Now, I did show you in the last couple of videos, I came out in the rain and showed you the ditch that I dug to keep the water away from the well. Showed you that I put tarps down on the well to try to keep the water out. I guess I really didn't need to, but it was a good practice experiment to see if it would work. And I think it worked. I don't think the water's dirty. Well, I mean, I checked it yesterday, it wasn't dirty. It had a little bit of rust in it, but that's because of the well pump. And I explained that to you in yesterday's video. Then, as you can tell from the news, well, I don't know if you can tell from the news or not, to be honest. You can't hardly find anything about the information that have, about the tornadoes that have hit in the last 2 days. I mean, Iowa, I watched a Storm Chaser on YouTube. A huge mile-wide tornado went through Iowa, western Iowa, well, west of Des Moines. I guess some of the tornadoes went into Des Moines. And it just wiped out a town. And then last night, Oklahoma just got beat one after another after another. I think one town got hit 3 times by a tornado, each one of them a mile wide. And I haven't heard a word about it. You know, the White House is doing the correspondence dinner, making jokes while, you know, Oklahoma's getting wiped off the map. I don't know what the deal is, but anyway, I've been keeping a close eye on the weather. We have an app, obviously, that I watch all the time. I watch Ryan Hall. I don't like calling out YouTubers, but everybody knows who it is. I mean, there's a lot of weather YouTube channels out there. I actually watched 2 of them. I can't think of the Palm. Since I named Ryan Hall, I'll name the other one. I think it's Palm Pounder or something like that. Weather, I'm not sure what it is, but something Ponder. And I watch him, and I actually have his weather app. He has an app. So He's got a good radar on it, good descriptions of weather. And then I keep Google, and Google lets me know about the warnings. Then the phone sends out a signal or a message somehow or another about tornado warnings. So yesterday I watched until about 8:30 and finally decided that we were safe. I said, well, I'm going to go to bed. So I go to bed and I put the phone underneath my pillow because I wear earplugs and I can't hear the alarm in the morning, but that vibration instantly wakes me up. So I put it under my pillow. Well, at 10:30 it vibrates. And I'm thinking, wow, the alarm's going off. And I was really tired. And I was like, boy, I didn't get any sleep. So I look and it says tornado warning. Not watch, warning. At least that's what I thought it said. I was in such a hurry because I thought it was the alarm that I just shut it off. So I get back on Ryan Hall and I'm watching his updates and there's nothing. I get on Google. It says we're under a watch, but not a warning. So finally, I realized Carolyn was still awake. I don't know why I didn't look over at her, but she's awake watching her phone, you know, Netflix, or I guess Prime. Actually, we don't have Netflix anymore. So I said, did you get a message about tornadoes? She said, yeah, there's tornado warning. Now she didn't seem to panic about at it all. Oh, well, anybody who was with me back when we were nomads, we went through Mississippi. And I'm pretty confident that we went through a tornado while we were driving. It was terrifying. We were stuck on this little 2-lane road, trees down in front of us, down behind us, and we just built that truck camper. And I wasn't sure that we were going to stay upright. It was terrible. And anyway, we followed this guy, and he had this little twine, and he ended up pulling this tree out of the way enough that we could get around it. And then down the road a little ways more, there was another tree down. Well, you know, being Mississippi or like Missouri, and everybody's got a chainsaw. Whipped the chainsaw out of the back of the truck, and they cut that tree up in pieces and got us through it. So that's about the closest I think we came to a tornado. But she doesn't seem to worry too much about it. But anyway, I asked her, she said, yeah, there was warning. I think they sent us out a warning for some other county. We looked this morning, and we know what county it was that had a tornado warning here in Missouri, but I don't think it was us. Now, somebody's going to ask, do you have a storm shelter? You need a storm shelter. What happened to that storm shelter you were digging? Well, we weren't building. We changed our minds many times with it and decided we weren't going to do anything. There is a storm shelter nearby. If there was a warning, we would go to it. It's just that simple. I'm not too worried about surviving a storm shelter. It's close enough. And that's the thing about small towns like Iowa. Iowa, they got a storm shelter everywhere. Everywhere there's just a storm shelter. I remember being in Des Moines. I worked in Des Moines for a while, and I went to this people's house for a corn lunch, corn on the cob, sweet corn, Iowa sweet corn. If you were ever in Iowa, you'll know what I'm talking about. Iowa sweet corns, it's fantastic. Butter and salt. So they had this corn lunch, corn on the cob lunch, and it was a trailer park in Iowa in the 90s. And they had a storm shelter. Actually had several of them around there you could walk to. So these little communities, they do things like that. So you don't need a basement if you got a storm shelter nearby. Apartment complexes do the same thing. I was in a complex, I guess about 10 years ago now. Maybe even longer than that, 2011. And they had a storm shelter. So I guess people who don't live in Tornado Alley are just afraid of tornadoes. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're concerning, and you really need to take them seriously. But like I said, I've went my whole life and really have never experienced one. And I'm not sure I experienced one in Mississippi. Whatever that was, it was downright scary, but I don't know if it was a tornado or not. We survived it. But that being said, they do happen. And you just got to be aware of it. That's the thing. You just got to be aware of it. The last one we had, I think, was 2011, which is in Joplin, Missouri, which is west of us. And it was pretty devastating. But again, if you go to the storm shelter or you go in your basement, you'll survive it. I think what's scary I mean, people, don't get me wrong, people do die in tornadoes, but I don't think it's a horribly mass casual event every time there's a tornado. And these big ones are pretty rare. You get the smaller ones that turn over a mobile home occasionally, but I think that what's so scary about it is just the devastation. You see it on the news and everything's destroyed. But I do think that most people have learned how to deal with them. They know they're coming. It's not a surprise. I mean, the weather is just, it looks terrible. When there's a tornado warning or tornado watch, the weather looks terrible. And especially with having Ryan Hall now and weather apps, if you're not paying attention to that radar, and you can see that wall cloud, that rain cloud, there's a cold front and hot, warm front, and they collide, they start spinning in the atmosphere, and that spin starts to drop down. I don't know exactly, I guess it spins this way in the atmosphere, and then it kind of turns vertical and starts turning that way. Yeah, it's been a long time since I studied tornadoes, but you get the idea. And you just get in the car and go. I mean, the thing you're going to have to expect, though, is everything you own is going to get destroyed. Which brings me to preppers. You know, preppers are always talking about stockpile. You got to have a stockpile of everything. Everything's going to be stockpiled. You got to have 10,000 years worth of food. What good is that stockpile if it's blown across the county? You got to think more reasonable than this. You got to think more realistic. You know, being prepared for SHTF, well, STH takes all kinds of different forms. If a tornado came through here, you gotta have a solar generator in case tornado comes through and wipes out your house. Well, you don't even have a house. So why do you need electric? I mean, let's think realistically. So if a tornado took out our house, we would just get a hotel. That's what a savings account is for. That's what being debt-free is for. If you're going into debt to buy food and solar generators, what are you going to do when your house gets torn up? I know, you got insurance. I get it. I don't have insurance. I self-insure. It's more realistic, and it's financially smarter. If you get a $5,000 house like we have, you save another $5,000 in case the house gets tore up. If you never have the house tore up ever, then you've saved that $5,000. Whereas in insurance, you don't get that money back. If you live your entire life paying in insurance and you never use it, then you just wasted that money. So going small, being self-sufficient, it's just more financially smarter. Then, like I said, we can get a hotel, probably get another camper if the camper was wiped out. Stay in the camper for a while until we build a new tiny house. Well, I don't think I'd build again, but I would get a shed, and we'd get that shed up to living standards, and we'd move into the shed, and we'd be done. It would be so easy to recover. We'd have to get more solar panels. Solar panels probably be destroyed. The shed that the solar panels are in, or the solar panel equipment, batteries are in, would probably be destroyed. I might be able to salvage the batteries. Now, one person said, and then, well, he said it several times, "You're irresponsible. You're going to kill all your neighbors if you get a tornado. Because all that firewood stacked up in your yard is just going to fling everywhere and bust everybody up and kill everybody." Well, don't be ridiculous. When the tornado comes through and picks up my firewood and throws it everywhere, it's also going to pick up my house and throw it everywhere. It's going to pick up the neighbor's house and throw it everywhere. It's going to pick up cars and throw it everywhere. I just watched a video of a two-story house. I mean, it's an older, probably 60, 70-year-old home. It was sitting on a foundation. It literally picked the house up, moved it probably 20 feet off the foundation, and set it back down. I mean, tornadoes don't care if it's a wood pile or a house. It's going to throw it just like it throws anything. So, you know, it doesn't matter if you got a wood pile. People just want to complain because they can't do this. And people want to be scared of everything. I gotta have my stockpile in case tornado comes through. Gotta have my $2,000 solar generator in case tornado comes through. I mean, if you're out of electric, I understand. If the tornado knocked out the electric supply, I get you're going to have some backup electric, but do you need to spend $2,000 on your backup electric? I think there's more reasonable ways of doing it. The first thing you need to do, downsize your lives. If you're going to listen to preppers, maybe you can listen to me. Downsize your lives. You don't need all that stuff. Get down to the bare minimum: food, water, shelter, and defense. And I might even add in a savings, so you can replace the stuff that you have. So if you click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was talking about how I modified that well a little bit so I can keep the water out with a tarp. So if I can inspire you, stop being afraid of everything. Live your dreams. Thanks for watching.